So yeah, I'm here in Boulder, and
Yeah.
I'm using kind of the office Wi-Fi in the building that's right behind me, and that's where the
Mm.
studios are. But I don't have like a private quiet place, so I'm out in the corner. They have a little garden out
Yes,
here, so
it's
it's
beautiful.
actually really nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I love it.
so
I
I
love it.
I apologize for the traffic noise.
No, I can't hear it. No, but
Okay,
it's
good.
wonderful. It's wonderful that you're outside, and it's now 1 o'clock there in Boulder.
Correct.
Okay.
And I
So,
just finished teaching my first
wow.
class. I have a second class that starts in 45 minutes. And
Okay.
then I have 3 hours of rehearsal with the company after that. So I have
Okay.
very full days while I'm here.
Wow. But tell me about the class that you're teaching or that you taught now, before one.
So this is for the lower level course.
Yeah.
And I've got some students who are, young teenagers, and they've never taken a modern class before. So I'm
Oh,
trying to make sure that I keep pace with what their learning is, and also introduce them to how they use their ballet training with any other training that we do. So when I say walk, we will modify a ballet walk so they still get to point their toes, but they may not necessarily have to roll through their feet the same way. And then we
okay.
start to learn the differences between the way that we transfer our weight. Because ballet has a very specific way of needing to transfer your weight, especially through your feet. In modern, we want them to be able to do that, but at the same time, we want them to know the difference that, you can,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, it's just a very different approach, and introducing them to different coordinations. Uh, you know, how your hands and your legs go at the same time. Modern loves to use, you know, your arms are working in 1, 2, 3, but your feet are going 1, 2, 3. So you have
Okay.
to keep that in mind, that that's a new coordination for dancers, young dancers in particular.
Do the students who haven't done modern, do they find it
Modern.
yeah, do they find it difficult?
I think some of them do. Some of them find it as a relief. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm not, it's like you don't have to be as rigid in terms of the form and the
Mm.
shapes that we're looking for in ballet. And then others find it very sort of, oh, I don't like doing that. I'd rather do ballet. And
Okay.
I think it's always just a personal preference, and the opportunity for them to be exposed to different kinds of dance for young dancers is really the important thing. Finding the style of work that for that point in their life is what's most interesting to them. But I also find that the experience, um, I studied Spanish in school, and I never really got to use my Spanish until much, much later. Landed in Germany, and I got landed in France with no knowledge of German or French. And I made my way through. And then later on, I realized just how much grounding I had in Spanish and the Romance languages. So picking up French was a little easier, picking up Portuguese was a little easier. And I actually had more difficulty with sort of getting the structure of German together,
Oh
and
yeah.
like putting the
Yeah.
verb at the end, like, oh, I have to know what I'm thinking before I say a sentence.
I still do. But yeah, I I get what you're saying, that it's not necessarily, that they can use it later also and apply and other things.
Yes. I mean, I didn't start my modern career until after almost 10 years of doing ballet. But my early modern training really like came back to me, and it actually helped to form a lot of the ballet that I was doing. The use of my back, I had a lot of other students say, it's like, how did you learn to use your back that way? And that came from very early on as a young dancer. I had done much more modern and Afro-Caribbean dance where the use of your back and your torso was essential. And then I would go into ballet and, they want all of that action and motion. And as I became more advanced, I got to introduce my own like understanding of the use of epaulement and the use of my back and my torso, which really came from, being trained within the context of modern and Afro-Caribbean.
Mm. And now, and the classes that you teach now, and after one, are these the same students, or is it then a different class again?
It's a different class. The one that I have after I finish with this break is a more advanced class,
Oh,
and they may not have had any other modern training prior to me, but they're more advanced dancers.
oh, I see. Okay.
So they have more control. And, what I do is I take things like a ballet waltz turn. I have them do that across the floor. And then I say, we're going to introduce a triplet. And it is a waltz, but it has a different structure to it. We're still going down, up, down, up. But how you transfer your weight, whether or not you brush a leg with it or whether there are just variants in it. So I am now going to relate the vocabulary that they know and the way they do that and introduce a more modern way of approaching the same rhythm, but with a different sense of carriage, and sometimes even a different direction. Like, we can do it circling without spotting. So those types of things are just, let me take what they know and give it a twist with a slightly different coordination. And that's where we get started to a more contemporary approach to things with a background in modern.
Do you think, Richard, that it's important to use a lot of imagery when you teach dance, especially when it's modern? That they understand what you are saying and that they understand how the body has to be used.
I do, but at the same time, it's a combination. Because when you're introduced to something brand new, sometimes the images don't make sense. When, for instance, if I said, when you walk, if you put your right foot forward, your left arm swings forward, and they know that, right? And you say, okay, so it's just like walking. Okay, so yeah, so if I'm walking and I go left leg and left arm, I say, okay, maybe we look like a little Frankenstein monster. And I will use an image of something that's like coordinated, very coordinated. But for the most part, breaking things down, when you break it down mechanically, it's hard to introduce imagery. But then when they get it, then you can add imagery like, oh, well, you're just walking down the street, or, oh, you're tiptoeing through a very dark room and you're not sure whether or not you're going to bump into something. So I think it depends on where you are with teaching the technique or the variance in the technique.
Okay, yeah, no, it makes sense, really, yeah. So that they have to understand first what they are doing.
Correct. Yeah. And then it's easier to use imagery. And some things are easy. Like, it's like, bring your arms overhead and open them out. And then you can say, okay, well, now as you do it, can you imagine that you're shading yourself from the sun? Or can you imagine that you want to let the sun shine in? It's sort of that kind of variance.
Yeah. And Richard, tell me, so all the students are there from America? They are, or do you have students from Europe there as well? because of the travel is a bit difficult at the moment, isn't it?
In this program, they are all relatively local to this area.
Okay.
Denver, Boulder, they're in Colorado, and it's not a residential program, so it's really just the dancers that are coming to take ballet classes as well. So it
Oh,
isn't a big international program in that way. I'm sure
okay.
they'd love to expand it,
Mm.
but it's very much, this is, as I said before, the very first time that they're introducing a modern teacher into their
Oh,
ballet summer
really?
masterclass intensive. Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. But do you love the teaching? Because you're so enthusiastic.
I do. I love teaching, and I love, you know, finding the different levels and ways in which kids learn as well as adults. And it's always keeping in mind when I walk into the room, I want to see the way that they are learning.
Mm,
And young kids learn very differently. They like to mimic, they like to play games. So you have to give them something that allows them to use that energy, and then
mm,
at the same time also learn the discipline that we need in terms of control over their muscles and their body. And then with older students, sometimes they get frustrated because as teenagers their bodies are changing, and
mm,
their sense of control and coordination will sometimes frustrate them. And you have to remember that it's a normal thing for them to be frustrated, and to acknowledge that as a teacher that it can be very frustrating for them, but that this is something we know that they can achieve.
mm. Tell me now, this is a tough few days for you because you've got the morning, afternoon, and then later you teach the company as well. So how do you keep yourself energized and how do you keep yourself going in this week?
The thing that I love about my job and my work is that as long as I stay committed to working in what I see in front of me,
Mm,
the I don't think about being tired. I don't think about
really?
anything else. I can be very, very present, and I can see, oh, we need to work on that, or oh, they did that so great. And, they have questions, and all you're doing is just answering. Just be present. Just really engage with the students, engage with the dancers. I'm watching them reconstruct some stuff that I had taught years last year, and they've mixed up counts, and we're adjusting that. And when you're really focused on what you're doing, I'm one of those people who forgets to eat, because I'm
Really?
like, oh yeah, I'm just focused on this, and I'm working on that, and I'm reviewing my notes, and I forget to eat. And then at the end of it, I stop for 5 minutes, I take a drink of water, and I'm like, oh, I'm starving.
Oh yeah. Well, I wish that could happen to me, but I have a lovely appetite.
Well, I have a
But
humongous appetite, but I just forget to eat.
oh, but Richard, so you will be busy now until Saturday.
Correct. Through Saturday,
Okay.
I keep the same schedules all the way through Saturday, and then I get
Yeah.
a couple of days off here before I head back to New York.
Oh, okay. And then, and will there be like a end of the week performance? Like a little show or
No,
something for
not
parents?
no, not really. I mean, this one is not scheduled in that way,
Oh, I
but
see.
I'm sure that, especially right now because of COVID, they're really not letting
Well, yeah.
parents and other people observe. And we're back to wearing masks, and and I do have some kids that are younger, that are too young to be able to be vaccinated. And so it just, it's really just focused on the
Mm.
learning. And I also find that more helpful right now, rather than needing to focus on, oh, we have to get something together to
Oh,
present at
yeah.
the end of the week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true actually. I haven't thought of that, but then the focus is more on the teaching and the learning. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But Richard, thank you so much for talking to me. This is so exciting that it's there live at the summer
Absolutely.
course, and this is what I love so much, that we can do this on Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But this is lovely, and I really I hope that we can catch up again when you do something, when you're teaching again. It's always so lovely
Absolutely.
to talk to you, and I love your energy. Oh my goodness, I think
Okay, I hope my
those.
energy holds out.
Yeah, no, but I think it's a privilege for those kids to have a teacher like you, because I think that's also important, because I think that also brings the love for the dance, and the also this energy of yours, is then um that they also receive that. I think teachers are very important in art, and to 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 give this.
No, absolutely. And like I said, I, when I talk about the teachers are from the students,
Mm,
and if we don't put the energy into, investing in our students, we
yeah,
this don't have anything to give back to us. And I think it is a symbiotic relationship in that way. Like, learn and work with those that are in front of you, and
yeah,
you won't have a problem with trying to figure out how do I have enough energy.
yeah, yeah. No, that's true. Okay, Richard, have a lovely afternoon.
Okay, thanks. You
Bye.
too.
Bye.